Ninjago Dragon's Rising has a very small detail that is very much a big factor when it comes to the characters of Arin and Sora, because it is one thing that defines both of the characters in every single installment that we have had. And this is what speaks to the brilliance of the writing of Dragon's Rising. Of course, there are issues that you can explain, but genuinely speaking, Dragon's Rising has done a lot of very cool things for the actual landscape of the show itself, and this one, in my opinion, is one of the most interesting of the bunch. Because it shows how when two characters start in the exact same place, it can have very different consequences when you change one very small aspect of the two. And that is what I want to discuss for today, and show how Arin and Sora were destined to be on different paths. Now, these aren't character analysis, because I want to do that later down the line, but to go over it briefly, Arin, of course, was directly affected by the merge. He lost his house, he lost his parents, he lost everything from his previous life, but the fact is that he still found his way in the new lands of the merged realms, and ultimately, he actually developed a few skills because of it. He was a ninja fan, he knew most of what there is to know about the ninja, and ultimately speaking, he was able to self-teach himself spinjitzu and invent a different type of spinjitzu, which is now called object spinjitzu, and it's fairly interesting to see a character be able to accomplish such a feat. But of course, after he became a pupil of Lloyd, he tried to improve his skills, but ultimately he was never actually able to, and he never actually improved his spinjitzu or his object spinjitzu, and it created a mix of doubt on whether or not he should be a ninja, and also doubt on whether or not Lloyd is actually a good master or not, and ultimately in the end, he ended up calling Lloyd a failure. He was ultimately taken under the tutorage of Raz, and we get to see how Raz was able to affect him in different ways. Raz helped him accomplish a spinjitzu tornado, and told him a lot about the ninja that he didn't actually know. One thing being is that Wu actually caused the merge. And of course, under Raz, like I said, Arin was actually able to improve his actual techniques, but not through any sort of good way. He did it through his anger, and the fact is that it's a very twisted way of accomplishing the same feats, and ultimately, Arin didn't see any sort of issue with it because he did see improvement. Sora, however, we actually get to see her actually be somewhat of a consequence of the merge, but not really. She took advantage of the merge and she was able to escape Imperium because of it, and ultimately she met up with Arin and she learned about who the ninja was, but ultimately her passion was mechanics, was inventing, was doing all those aspects that don't exactly involve being a ninja. But she still became a pupil of Lloyd regardless, and once realizing that she had elemental power, even though she denied it, she did actually become a ninja and was actually quite good at it. She had a very steady progression under the teacherage of Lloyd, and she actually remains with him throughout. Of course, at the end of Season 3 Part 1, she does end up going with Arin and Raz, but that's not because she has been manipulated by Raz like Arin was. She was doing it to be able to look out for Arin and try to help him where he could, because she couldn't leave him alone with Raz without feeling some sort of guilt. So she didn't do it for an evil purpose, she did it actually for good intentions. And on the surface, you can see that they did end up having different paths. Of course, Arin lost faith in Lloyd and he ended up going to Raz because of it, and he was considered a villain also because of it, whereas Sora never actually did that, and she ended up accomplishing large feats, such as being classed as the greatest elemental master in all of the merged realms. And on the surface, like I said, you can see that they had different arcs, but ultimately speaking, they did have the same starting point, which was being taken as pupils of Lloyd, and ultimately, this was where the very small detail actually came to be. And that is the fact that when Arin and Sora both came to be pupils of Lloyd, Arin went in as a fan of the ninja, whereas Sora didn't, and it completely altered how they looked at how they were going to handle it. Arin went into being a ninja with the idolized beliefs that he got to see as a fan of the ninja themselves. Of course, we know for a fact that he's been a fan of them for a long time, and he very much was someone who took into all of their adventures. But the fact is that he never saw the downside of any of these adventures. You get to see him idolize all these interesting things that they did without the consequence. So when Arin actually became a ninja and he tried to perfect spinjitzu, he tried to do object spinjitzu, he tried to be a hero to other people, he never saw it as he was able to fail whilst being a ninja. So when he did, he immediately thought he was not able to be one. And you can see this anger slowly progress. In season 1, he's doing his best, but ultimately he never really progresses, but he's somewhat okay with that. And then once you get to season 2, he's becoming desperate to be able to do better than he's already been doing. And in my opinion, the final nail in the coffin was definitely the fact that Sora had to help him do it and lied to him about it. So when season 2 part 2 came to be, he learned more about what happened to his parents, he learned more about how he wasn't really able to progress, he learned all these different things, and the fact that Lloyd's attention was taken away from him really did solidify the feeling of being a failure in his head, and that left him completely susceptible to Raz, which Raz, of course, took advantage of. And it's a brilliant detail because you get to see Arin realize that he isn't like the ninja throughout because he doesn't realize that he doesn't truly know the ninja. The fact is that Arin's perception of the ninja was always what drove him, and when he never matched that perception, it truly did not go well for him. Arin could never shake the feeling that he was not a ninja because he thought he couldn't fail, and that is ultimately the issue that came to be. Even when Lloyd reassured the fact that he is able to fail, he's able to learn, he's able to progress in a very natural way, Arin never heard that because he could never shake the fact that he wasn't the legendary green ninja that he had in his head. He saw Lloyd as this idol that everyone looks up to. He never saw him as Lloyd, the kids who could fail, the kids who messed up, the kids who took his time to be able to learn the things that he learned. He never knew that, and to an extent it felt like he never wanted to. Sora, on the other hand, when she became a ninja, she expressed doubt, she expressed failure, she expressed everything that the ninja did themselves. The difference is that Sora never believed that the ninja were not able to do those failures, because Lloyd told her the exact same thing, but Sora listened. But Sora came from a background of Imperium, where she made mistakes, she made errors, she made issues and errors that she was able to come above and beyond, and she translated that to her progression as a ninja like the original 6 did. Sora acknowledged that all the ninja had their trials and their errors. She understood that Lloyd had his issues, Nia did, Kai did, Cole did, Zane did. All of them had their own issues that they had to overcome, and it never stopped Sora because she never saw it like Arin did. In season 1, for example, we see her express doubt that she even has an elemental power, and we see her have those doubts throughout the season, and of course, up until the point where it's confirmed that she did, even though she had those doubts, it never actually stopped her from trying to do her best. She still carried on, she was still part of the ninja team, even though she was expressing those doubts, and it showed how she still had that persistence like the original 6 did. We got to see her then train and develop her powers, we got to see her try to learn Spinjitzu, and even though she hasn't mastered it straight away, and she has the same type of Spinjitzu that Arin did, she never actually sees it as a failure, she sees it as progressing, and the fact is that small detail carried her on and let her realize that she's allowed to make those errors, she's allowed to learn, she's allowed to develop. All those small aspects is the difference between her and Arin. And the other thing above all else, like I said, she is listening to Lloyd. She's listening to the other ninja. She's listening when they express that she's allowed to make those errors. She's allowed to be sad. She's allowed to be angry. She's allowed to be happy. She's allowed all of these emotions, all these issues, all these errors, all the success, because she is developing her skills like they did. It's not about winning every time. It's just about making sure that you carry on and you never quit like a ninja shouldn't. And it shows how one small detail between two characters who were in the exact same position can truly influence them from time to come, and there are so many more examples of this. We have had instances throughout the time of Dragon's Rising where Arin has remarked the fact he doesn't have an elemental power makes him objectively worse than the rest of the ninja, but the fact is that he just believes that the ninja should have elemental power to be able to do what they do, when in reality there are multiple instances where the ninja do not have elemental power and are still able to save the day. We get to see it multiple times, if that. We get to see it a bit in season 2, we get to see it in season 5, we get to then see individual ninja go through it in their own seasons. Lloyd in season 9, Kai in season 11, Jay, or all the ninja in season 12. We get to see them all under the influence of not having their power and learning to still be ninja because of it. But like I said, Arin simply didn't see it that way because he never got to know that through the legend and the tales of the ninja. We never got to see him acknowledge that Lloyd in season 9 wanted to give up because he didn't have his power, but he still was able to get over it, and he was still able to be the leader of the resistance. We didn't get to see Kai in season 11 get his groove back when he lost his power to Asphera. He never gets to see those moments, and to an extent, I don't think he would even care. Because Arin ultimately is tied up in his vision of the ninja. The best way to put it is in season 1 episode 3, where we get to see Lloyd encounter the kids who are honoring the ninja. They also have that same perception that Arin definitely has. They get to see ninja as the heroes, and they save the city and they have fun while doing it, which is not the case, but the kids see it that way, and so does Arin. And the final best example of that point is the merge. When Arin is being saved by Lloyd, in Arin's account of the merge, Lloyd is all happy, all energetic, all bubbly, all the ninja, they're saving the day, they're saving everyone. It's bright, it's aesthetic, it's vibrant, it's all those amazing things that you would think of in an account of the heroes who cannot do anything wrong. However, a few episodes later, and then throughout the course of Dragon's Rising, we get to see the merge from the ninja's perspective, and it's not vibrant, it's actually quite dull. The ninja, they're panicking, they're expressing doubt, Wu is panicking. We get to see everyone having their moments of fear, of doubt, really panicking over what is actually happening in front of them, and the ninja are doing everything they can to save as many people as they can, and saving Arin in that moment was just Lloyd being able to save someone else, and it wasn't this big heroic moment. It was Lloyd spotting someone and saving them because they had the opportunity. Many people lost their lives during the merge, and the fact is they couldn't save everyone. But in Lloyd's perspective and in the ninja's perspective, it was dark, it was worrying, it was terrifying. But in Arin's eyes, it wasn't. And that shows the difference. But this all comes to show that Arin and Sora, even though they had the exact same starting, shows how one small perception and one small detail of knowledge can really alter a character, because it shows how Arin fundamentally believes the ninja is something that they're actually not. It believes that there is something much bigger, they're infallible, they can do no wrong, and that led to him being manipulated by Raz, and it led to them really not being able to handle Arin appropriately because Arin simply couldn't shake the perception that he knew for so long. And it shows how when you don't have that perception and you don't have all those different aspects, the want to be a ninja, the want to do all this, do all that, be that unsung hero, it shows how when you're not under that perception, if you are capable of being a ninja and you have those powers, have those abilities, have that mindset, you can truly become something fantastic. And that is Sora. But honestly, all of this just goes to show how much I absolutely adore Ninjago as a show, because Arin and Sora, in my opinion, are some of the best characters we have ever gotten, and in my opinion, this small little detail is very much something that proves that to me, because in my opinion, it is a clear showing of how one thing can truly change someone as a person. But let me know, what you think. Is this something you agree with me on? Is this something you think I may have missed out on? Is this something that you may have perceived in a different way? I would love to know what you think, and I would love to know where you think they're gonna go from here. Personally, I do honestly think that Arin and Sora will never be able to be at the exact same place again. I do think Arin will truly have to live with knowing that he never ultimately had the right perception of the ninja. He is still a fantastic ninja, don't get me wrong, but ultimately, because of the perceptions he had, it led him down a very interesting fate. And ultimately, even though he will still continue to be a great ninja, he ultimately will never be able to have the true qualities that the rest of the ninja team had, and that's not a bad thing, it truly isn't, but it shows that Arin is in fact different. And like I said, when it comes to Sora, I do think she will continue to progress to be what the ninja are or were during the original series. I think Sora will take a mantle of a very similar ninja in a lot of different ways, and I do think that's really interesting to see. And honestly, I do really like the contrast between Arin and Sora in this situation. It shows what happens when you give someone similar beginnings or a similar mindset to the ninja, and what happens when you give it to someone who doesn't. And like I said, do you agree with this? Do you disagree with this? Do you think I've missed the mark in some way? But please let me know what you think. But that is about it for today, you guys. Thank you very much for watching, and like I said, let me know what you think, and I hope you enjoyed the video. But yeah, take care, guys. Okay, bye!